What is up, everyone? We are back with At the Movies with Matt and Ryan. Back on the podcast life. Just for a week, though. We're on spring break. Matt,
Pod Center.
what's up?
The Pod Center.
Yeah. Matt's back on the other side.
Yes, I am.
Also in Agawam.
Yeah. Spring break and it's still snowing.
Just like last year. But anyway, that gives us more chances to go to the movies because when the weather's bad, there's nothing much else to do. So we saw a double feature. We saw Hurricane Heist and Gringo.
And we also saw The Strangers Pray at Night.
Oh, you're right. Wow, I forgot about that.
Oh, wow. My God.
Wow, I did. Wow. Oh, so wow, it's a 3-in-1.
Yeah.
Welcome to that. Wow. Matt, see, I know what you were trying to do there. You're trying to have me forget about the 3-in-1.
How was that? I thought you were going to name all three movies.
That everyone loves. Yeah, but I usually start off with 3-in-1.
I thought you wouldn't forget to name one of the movies. Now we're going to add mute to it. We'll make it a 4.
3-in-1.
Random movie. Ruin it.
No.
All right, but which one do you want to start with?
Let's go with Hurricane Heist. We saw that first out of the 3.
All right. So Hurricane Heist. Basically, if you're a fan of Sharknado and you've been at home saying, "Why don't they put one of these in the theater?" Hurricane Heist is the movie you've been waiting for. It's one of those movies that its premise is so simple you can just put it in the title. It's a heist that's taking place during a hurricane. And if that sounds like your cup of tea, then I think there's some fun to be had with this movie. And as a whole, this is the kind of movie where I had a lot of fun, sometimes at the movie's expense, and sometimes I think it's genuinely decently done,
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was, and I don't think it was supposed to be. Or maybe it was, because I don't think a lot of times it really took its story seriously. And honestly, I thought a lot of the action scenes in it were kind of cool. I'm not gonna lie.
The action, the stunt work of the action. Rob Cohen, who directed the very original the Fast and Furious movie, he did the first one. I think the stunts themselves were actually pretty well done. I mean, and I think the scenes are made even more enjoyable by the fact that the CGI is fucking god awful. So it's like it makes for a really entertaining experience because for 1 second you'll be enjoying it because like, oh, that's well done, and then you'll see a shitty CGI skull in the hurricane, and then you'll just start laughing. Like it's just within moments this movie is competent and then god awful. But I kind of love that about it.
Or when people are like flying in the air during a hurricane, somehow not getting injured. But
this movie has a really dumb charm to it.
Yeah, somehow.
It's really dumb and it exists in its own universe, but like it never blinks. It never winks at the camera about it. It never gets too cute with itself. Like it's not one of those movies that's like, okay, we know we're in a silly, stupid movie. Like they take it seriously, and I think for me at least that usually works better than when a movie's trying to be like, oh shit, look at this, isn't this stupid? Like okay, take it back. But like that's why I think this was a lot more successful than similar the Sharknado movies, which always are throwing in just dumb shit just for the sake of throwing in dumb shit. But I think this as a movie, it's focused enough where it's able to work.
Yeah, and I think the actors were a part of that. I think they kind of rode that as well. And it was kind of funny. The accents, I don't think were really on point, but but I mean,
it's funny because there's some really capable actors in this movie. Toby Kebbell was the villain in Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. Ralph Ineson was the main guy in The Witch. Maggie Grace was in a lot of movies. But some good actors, but it's like most of them are British and they have to do Southern accents. I know Toby Kebbell's British, and his Southern accent was like, I don't know, it was really, really off, but it was still a decent performance because he's still a decent actor. So it was It was just still kind of funny though. Like it was just funny, and there's I don't know the script is obviously the piece of shit, but
Yeah.
it had enough like kind of so bad it's good moments where it makes up for it.
The script was really bad. There was like the beginning of the movie. There was like a scene where like two kids were talking. I was like, if this is what the movie's gonna be, then I'm out. But it actually turned out to be a pretty fun time. Um,
Yeah, it honestly, and my rating. I mean, if we're getting a rating, my rating system for this movie, from a quality perspective, it's probably a 2. The the action's well done, but most of the other things are really not. But from an entertainment perspective, it was definitely a 10. Like it was, I had a blast with this movie. It was,
yeah.
the right level of kind of stupid and silly. Like it took itself seriously, but it didn't take itself too seriously, and just the wackiness and just the fact that this movie really embraces the stupidness of the premise. So
Yeah.
for all those things, I give it a very a lukewarm 6 out of 10. It's a lukewarm recommendation for me, but recommendation nonetheless.
Also, I'm glad they didn't. I'm gonna put this in. I'm glad they didn't draw out the ending too. Kind of just ended pretty abruptly.
Yeah, the movie's short. It's 100 minutes. It doesn't like.
It was kind of a cool ending too. I mean, I don't want to spoil it, but I don't know. I was like, all right, I was expecting something more to happen, and it didn't, and I was like happy that because of that. But I'm gonna be at a 7.
7, really that
Yeah,
high?
I had a fun time.
I agree. It's just I can't. The movie's so incompetent at points. It's like the highest I can give it is a 6. Even though I had a lot of fun with it.
Yeah, it's in my top 10 right now. No, I'm just kidding. It's only been 10 movies.
Technically, it's in mine as well. It's number 10.
Damn. Oh, you've probably seen more than 10 though.
I've seen 27 movies.
Holy crap! I think I've seen only 12. All right. Anyway,
moving on to our next movie, which is more likely to be seen in a bottom 10. Gringo.
Gringo. Oh boy, what happened? What happened, Joel?
Gringo follows an American businessman with a stake in a pharmaceutical company that's about to go public, meaning he's about to be out of a job. So he finds his life thrown into turmoil by an accident that happens in Mexico. It's kind of a vague premise, but you don't want to get. There's a crucial plot point that happens. I'd say a half hour into the movie, and the trailers haven't spoiled it, so I'm not going to spoil it either. But basically, this is an ensemble dark comedy / farce. I would say.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. Joel Edgerton, I mean, for the most part, at least the movies I've seen by him, have been there. He's been in very serious roles, and I think it shows in this movie that he's not a funny guy. Neither him nor his brother are funny people. It seems like. So you got to stay in your lane because this movie was not Joel Edgerton's lane, and the comedy in this movie, it was the worst kind because it was cringy. Because
I do owe Joel Edgerton some credit because he actually didn't write the movie at all.
I know. But I'm saying like his character that he played, was supposed to be like a clever, like funny guy, but in reality, he was corny, cringy at times. The movie kept bringing up the same story like 8 times. And they had like a couple running jokes too that they thought were funny, but I don't think the audience did. So it was just the worst kind of comedy. Like it really was.
Yeah, the movie bats around some really interesting ideas. I think there's definitely some sort of comment on our current workplace environment. Definitely a kind of a viewing of what am I thinking? Whatever, but there's some. I think there's a moment with Charlize Theron's character where she's, there reveals an interesting element about her where it's like, okay, like I can see that there's some depth here past the surface, but it's all kind of buried for just stupid shenanigans. The writer for the movie is actually Matthew Stone, who more simply can be known as one of the creative minds behind South Park. And similar to South Park, this past couple seasons, it's a movie that has some interesting ideas, but for the most part, is just bad writing and juvenile comedy. Like the
Yeah.
comedy here is very much just, oh wow, the boss said go fuck yourself. Ha ha ha. Like I don't like it's not funny at all. Like there was like maybe 2 chuckles in the movie entirely.
Yeah. And I think those chuckles were like, not because of the 3 or 4 running jokes they had throughout the entire movie that they kept bringing up. The movie was annoying. It really was. Like I was annoyed by it because like I'm a big Joel fan and I know he could do better and I know that he put a lot. I know he didn't write the movie, but you were telling me he did put a lot of effort into it as well. And obviously Charlize Theron's another person that
He was a producer. So his brother Nash Edgerton directed it. And his first movie, The Square, is actually a pretty good movie. And then Joel and Charlize Theron were both producers.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I give them credit. I give them credit for. I mean, maybe at least putting effort into this. I guess it doesn't look like they were.
Something new.
Yeah, they weren't phoning in, which is probably worse than putting out a bad movie that just wasn't done well. So I guess I could. That's kind of a silver lining, but at the same time, it's like I don't know what these guys were thinking. Like I don't know what Charlize was thinking. I don't know what Joel was thinking. I know it's his brother, but you got to be honest. If it's not up to snuff, you got to be honest. Even if it is a family member, like
the story could have worked, but everything is spread too thinly. Like there's so many characters who just serve no purpose to the movie. I mean, Amanda Seyfried's character and like Thandie Newton, who plays David Oyelowo, who we haven't even mentioned because even though he's the main character of this movie, he's like irrelevant to this movie.
Yeah, he doesn't have a personality. He's just there.
He's like Matt Damon. Honestly, it was just like Matt Damon and downsizing, except the performance was a little more tolerable. But like, it was just the same thing. It's like this movie doesn't really know what it wants to do with this character. Like, what are we trying to do here? Like, it just kind of. It lacked direction, it lacked focus, and it lacked cohesiveness. Everything felt very kind of scattered and in their own plane, and they never kind of mixed together and compete in a natural way. And there's just nothing to really invest yourself in. The characters are either one note or bland.
The story was a mess. Yeah,
it's just unlikable.
The story was really a mess. It just really was. But I mean, you win some and you lose some. This was definitely a loss. But I'm sure, Joel will come back. He'll be back.
And I think the movie, there was a lot of spiritual references. There was a lot of, like, kind of, I think this movie is trying to say something morally and ethically about society, and I don't know. And I even read an interview recently that the director mentioned that they were kind of wanted to add shadings of that. But, like, I just don't think it was really conveyed well at all. Like, I don't know. Like,
yeah.
The movie got too speech heavy before, like, it really nail ideas.
Yeah, I agree.
I give it a 2. I'll give it a 3. It was really boring.
It's exactly where I'm at. I gotta give it a 3 too. I mean, like the performances again weren't terrible, but it's just the material they had to work with, made him seem unlikable. So, what?
I thought I was reading a comment. Yeah, I agree though completely. It was just a waste of everyone's time. Like it wasted the cast time, wasted the audiences. Like it's just everyone involved can do better.
But that was the thing though. It seemed like that the cast thought that it was it was gold. I feel like I think the cast did think it was gold, but they learned that lesson.
It was a big misstep.
All right. The last one though, the one we're gonna review now is not a misstep. Strangers 2.
Well, Strangers. It's The Strangers Pray at Night, and before watching the sequel, literally the day of, I watched the original Strangers, which I'll do a quick review on because it is a movie that's grown a big cult audience since its release, because some people really do consider it one of the scariest movies of the millennium. Personally, I think it's all right. when it is a horror movie, it's pretty effectively done. I mean, I wasn't really scared during it, but it was like I like the way the quietness of it, the atmosphere, and just like the shocking kind of realness of it. I think was also very exciting to see in a horror movie. But I think the movie did take too long to get set up. I'd probably give it a 7 out of 10. Once it gets to the 40-minute park, it or 40-minute mark, it really became a really exciting horror movie. But until then, it was kind of dull. So 7.
I think,
But
yeah.
did you see the first Strangers?
No, I didn't see the first one, but I'm curious to see how similar your thoughts are on this one compared to that one.
I will say this: the first Strangers is very different than the second one.
Oh, that's good.
This stylistically, this second one, I mean, it was made by a different director. But first off, the film follows. I mean, it's your basic horror premise. A family road trip takes a dangerous turn when they arrive at a scheduled mobile home park to stay with some relatives and find it mysteriously deserted. Under the cover of darkness, three masked psychopaths pay them a visit to test the family's limits to survive. So, your basic premise.
This movie got better as it went on, which is I think kind of rare in a lot of movies that I see. Usually you get a good impression of what a movie's gonna be in the first like 10 minutes, and I was not a fan of the first like 10 or 15 minutes because the characters in the movie were kind of like they weren't someone I could be invested in. It seemed like, but then as I saw where this movie was going, I was like, all right, this actually kind of makes sense. But wow, I was really impressed with the middle portion of this movie and the end of just how visually like really impressive it was, and also the horror aspect of it too. And not that I was like, oh my god, I'm not gonna sleep tonight, but like it definitely was unsettling some of the things that happened in the movie. I would say
Yeah.
it was
See, for
satisfying.
me, I love the opening and then the credits. Like, it had that kind of 80s feel to it. And I was like, all right, dope. And then the next 15 minutes were fucking god awful. And
Yeah,
unironically god awful. They were like, it was, you have your kind of generic character actors. I thought the kid in the movie, the kid who played the girl, Madison Bailey, who's been in some other stuff, I thought she was the best actor in the movie. I thought everyone else was pretty.
yeah.
Yeah, the adults especially. Oof,
Yeah, I'm
oof.
not gonna lie. When I with that I know what part you're talking about. Watching that part, the only thing that was kind of creeping into my mind was, wow, 2018 is not looking good for movies. 'Cause I feel like I've seen like a string of kind of poorly made movies, and then this looked like it'd be the same thing. But thank God it got better.
Yeah, after the first, once it actually gets into the horror vibes, it's fucking awesome. And I
Yeah,
think a lot of the credit has to go to director Jonathan Roberts, who did last year's 47 Meters Down, the shark movie, which was better than I expected it to be. I mean, I guess so. I think he's proven himself to be a very capable genre director. This movie, it's like neon. It's like soaked in neon. It really wears its kind of 80s inspirations on its sleeve. I love the kind of synth score it has. I love the way it pays homage to 80s slasher movies. Like, I love that it used that as inspiration, and but it didn't feel derivative. Like, it wasn't like, oh, Stranger Things has done this and other movies have
yeah.
done this, so let's do that. Like,
This was
it
the
felt
per
fresh.
this was the perfect example of, Matt, you brought up a lot of times where even if a horror movie doesn't have the most developed characters in the world, as long as you have a good director, it's going to be
Or
interesting.
yeah,
I mean,
it's yeah. I think this is a movie where the director really kind of took over, and it's a lot of fun. Like, I had a lot of fun with this movie, especially the final 25 minutes or so. There's some really inventive set pieces here. There's a scene in the pool. I mean, there's some real artistry in here. There
yeah.
was several times, like,
There's a scene where a
when
car is
I'm
on
watching a movie,
fire.
I'll take yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, if I'm watching a movie, I'll take a lot of mental notes about, like, oh, that's a great shot. And this movie had way more like great shots and like just moments of filmmaking than most other horror movies. Like, it's like, holy shit, that was a great shot. Holy shit, that was a great shot.
Yeah.
A lot of great craftsmanship on display.
and like the aspects that were like meant to shock you in the movie, you know, or
Yeah,
like or at least make you unsettled. Like people unsettling were like unsettling. Like the way it was just really directed. It was very slow moving. A lot of like the gory and violent scenes were very like oh my gosh, what's gonna happen? It was really
the movie has the perfect tone of balance too, because it can be scary and it can be bloody, but it can also be a lot of fun. Like that movie in the end, and it has that like that aspect of like that slash, like, oh, it keeps coming back and coming back, and
yeah.
it's like
It's almost
this
comical.
how yeah, and I mean it's funny, but it's just a lot of fun. Like it's just
Yeah.
like, oh my god, like it takes you back to those kind of classic slasher movies, like Jason, where it's just like, oh, this killer just will not fucking stay dead. Like he just keeps coming back and coming back, and it's like, yes, like that's fucking great.
Yeah.
And I love that this movie is just such a departure from what, because the first one is a movie a lot of people like, and the fact that this one comes out 10 years later, and it's such a departure from what the original did well, that like it's really cool to see that this director took the premise of the original and basically did a completely different movie around it. So I think that's exciting for sure.
Yeah. No, this movie I think definitely, like I said, it just improved as it went on, and I think like the by the end of it, I was like, wow, that wasn't like because honestly, the first 10 minutes are like the part where like they introduced the characters. I was like, oh, this is just gonna be another like funny bad horror movie, but no, this was a great horror film by the end of it.
Yeah, it really, really, really was, and honestly, probably one of the 10 or so best horror movies I've seen this decade.
Wow. Oh wow, I don't know.
That sounds way bolder than it is. Like if you actually made the list, like, but like
Yeah.
it really is one of the best horror movies I've seen. Like it was so much fun. Like I think it's rare for a slasher movie these days to be that effective, because I feel like movies now skimp out so much on the gore and the bloodshed, and they just try to make things jump scares. This movie really doesn't have jump scares. There's
No.
no like, boost, oh, the tablecloth moved, It definitely feels like a throwback, and in that sense, I think it works a lot.
Yeah, I
So
agree.
what do you give it?
I'll give it an 8.
See, you're higher than me. I'll give it a 7.5 out of 10.
My one problem with it was the script was like whatever, but I think that was definitely masked by the fantastic directing. So
What's up?
I said the script was not like great, but I think that was masked by the fantastic directing. So I gotta give it an 8.
All right, I feel it. I'll probably go 7.5, just because how shitty I thought those first 20, 25 minutes were. Just they were really bad. Like it would have been so awesome if it was like Green Inferno, and if one of those movies where it's like, all right, we start you off, simple character development, but you actually give a shit about these characters. Here, I think the execution wasn't quite there, so you really aren't invested in the characters as much, but it's still a great time at the theater. So
Yeah.
I'll give it a 7.5.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, there you go. That's the 3-1. So check out Hurricane Heist and the new Strangers movie. Don't check out Gringo. It's not worth your time. But
Yeah, that definitely. I mean, I wouldn't even say wait for home video. Just
yeah,
fucking skip it.
yeah. Honestly, like Hurricane Heist, like we liked it, but you could probably wait for that too, and just like I don't know, on a Friday night or something, like rent it probably. But
It's it's the movie pass movie of the year.
yeah,
If you have friends, if you want to go, just see a fun movie, go see it. If you really want to pay $15 and see something great, go see The Strangers Pray at Night. Don't go see Hurricane Heist.
yeah. Well, all right. So I just put up our show from Friday where we reviewed Game Night and Matt reviewed Peter the Rabbit. So that's up. That just went up a couple hours ago. So check that out if you guys missed that. Also, I'll put this one up in probably tomorrow. So check those out and thank you for listening. And we'll be back probably this week.
Yeah, probably have a show later this week. To be honest.
Yeah.
I mean, there's still stuff that we need to see.
Definitely. All right, guys.
Tomb Raider.
We'll see you.